What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rant, no hate. So, people, we have Javier Fortuna versus Ryan Garcia. Now, I'm just going to jump straight into this. Javier Fortuna is a good fighter. He's a battle tested fighter, and there's some respect on his name. Now, however, let me just remind you guys of something. He turned down the fight against Devin Haney and chose to go against Ryan Garcia, who has no title whatsoever. Devin Haney was the WBC champion at that time. And of course, this is before he fought, George Kambosos. Now, he turned that fight down. Before he did it, Ryan Garcia turned down the fight with Devin Haney to supposedly have an exhibition with his idol, Manny Pacquiao, which never materialized. Okay? Then Ryan Garcia comes back to say he's fighting Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez confirmed it. That came out of both of their mouths. No, somebody said, no hearsay, no other boxing channel. No, it came out of their mouths. That fight never happened. Then he comes back and says he's fighting Havier Fortuna. He announced it. Everybody started talking about it. That was okay. Yeah, he's fighting Fortuna. Okay, cool. And then he ended up disappearing, saying that he had mental health issues. So that fight never happened. He disappeared. Every single time Ryan, like Tank fought someone, oh, if that was me, I'd do this and that to you. Last time we heard from Ryan at that point, he's sitting there in front of the camera, all misty-eyed, talking about what he was going through mentally and all, okay. But yet, he has enough time and interest to jump on Twitter to talk trash about Tank Davis. And, him himself, Ryan, according to Ryan Garcia, Mario Barrios is a bum. Isaac Cruz is a bum. All these guys are shit fighters. Jojo Diaz is also trash. He's a trash fighter, right? So he's talking shit to Devin Haney. He's talking shit to Tank Davis. Yet he's praising Teofimo Lopez and Rolly Romero. He has nothing negative to say about those two, but he's talking shit about those two, right? Okay, so wait. You didn't hear him saying, look, when I come back, I'm coming for my belts or something. No, he's not saying that. He's just talking about he do this, he do that. Then he says, if you remember, he tells Devin Haney that I'd fuck you up. Sign the contract. Remember? And I'm like, yeah, there's always the people love to yell out sign the contract, but then when you try to make the fight happen, the ones yelling sign the contract are the ones not signing the contract. Like it's something behind the scenes that we don't see that goes on. Like when these guys see each other and smile and hug and shake hands and everything's good, but when the cameras are on, we hate each other. Like this soap opera stuff. And what I find interesting about him saying that Jojo Diaz is a trash fighter and what he do to him, well, Jojo Diaz, he defeated, Javier Fortuna in a unanimous decision. And it was unanimous all around the board. Beat him by far. So again, you're fighting the loser of that fight. So Jojo Diaz is a shit fighter. Why would you fight the guy that he beat? So let me just tell y'all something. Javier Fortuna is a good fighter. But he's a good fighter that has flaws. He's not that fast. He doesn't hit that hard. And he's kind of easy to hit, especially as the rounds go on. Like he just becomes so open to hit. He's much shorter. And basically, I just feel like Ryan Garcia feels more comfortable in this fight. And yes, like I said, Javier Fortuna does have respect on his name. But I feel like Ryan Garcia feels more comfortable in this fight. Simply because he sees the disadvantages. He knows, like, no, there's other fighters better than Javier Fortuna. Javier Fortuna shows heart. He comes to fight. But, he's lost before. And he lost, like I said, by a wide margin against a guy that Ryan Garcia says is a shit fighter. So if a shit fighter beat the guy that you're fighting, are you trying to tell us that Javier Fortuna is not a shit fighter, but he lost to a shit fighter? So why'd you pick him instead of Jojo Diaz? Why did you pick him instead of a Isaac Cruz? You understand? So after this fight, man, Ryan Garcia needs to step his game up. I don't want to hear that bullshit about, oh, but he had a long layoff because of mental health issues and all. Don't come back and start picking guys. Don't now if you come back, don't pick a Isaac Cruz or somebody who you call a shit fighter, right? Don't come back and fight one of those guys unless you can't. Something is okay. We know, like with right now with Devin Haney, they asked him about the rematch with George Kambosos. He said, right now we don't know. So that stipulation that was put in the contract with the first fight with Kambosos, if Devin Haney fights someone else, that goes to show you that George Kambosos, if anything, is saying, nah, you know what? You guys go ahead and do what you have to do. Or maybe they pay him step aside money. Now, this is not about him being ranked number one or mandatory, but the type of thing that if it's in that clause, I don't see him letting them walk away without them paying him rather. So that way he's still getting the chunk of change without having to do anything for it. But it goes to show you if that happens, it's not because he's such a nice guy. He don't want to step in the way of Devin Haney's success. No, why would you not want your shot when that was a part of your stipulation that you have 2 fights, both fights are in Australia, right? Both fights. Whether you win, lose, or draw, both fights have to be in Australia. And in the rematch, you also take the lion's share of the money. So if Devin Haney ends up fighting someone else, it's more so because George Kambosos feel like he needs more time to properly prepare for Devin Haney, which he's not going to say, and his camp is not going to say. But otherwise, there's no reason for him to not exercise his rematch clause. And then two, when George Kambosos fought Devin Haney, not Devin Haney, when he fought Tiafimo, that was in New York. It wasn't in Australia. So I know when a guy gets a title, okay, right, now he becomes the champ. He wants to fight in his hometown or his country or whatever. I get all of that. But at the same time, it's like when you feel like you need the leverage, it's like, what did you think was going to happen by fighting him in Australia? He was bringing boxing back to Australia. Okay, that's beautiful. But even the rematch clause, you want the rematch to be there. Why? Well, why does it matter? You lost. And that's playing dictatorship. Devin Haney, people always want to talk about somebody daring to be great. Well, he dared to be great by accepting those bullshit, horrible terms. So he did what he had to do. So let's just say if Ryan Garcia, beats Havier Fortuna, now Devin Haney doesn't have a fight right now. He says that he's fighting in October. He doesn't know who it'll be against. So more than likely, I don't think it'll be Ryan Garcia. So Tank Davis, even George Kambosos, look at who's there. That's I wouldn't turn my lip up to a Ryan Garcia versus Isaac Cruz fight. But what I'm saying is, if you're not trying to get the bigger names first, you're not trying to get the fighters that beat those guys first, and you can't get them, then that's when it's like, why are you going for guys that you seen lose already? Because even in doing that, it's like, okay, well, they're going to compare my performance to the last guy's performance, which most that you can say is looking at the performance, you can imagine is going to be what type of fight is going to be against the guy that beat that guy as well. But it doesn't guarantee a win against that person, so that's part of the intrigue, and I get all of that as well, but if off top, you're not going for the A-listers, you're going for the B or C listers first. Why? And for people that's saying, I like to see Ryan Garcia have at least 2 fights. I'd really say 3, but at least 2 fights before he goes in there against Tank. Ryan Garcia is not going to admit it, but he himself feels the same way. And you guys got to understand, there's no reason for you to fight a lesser fighter. No reason. If you're saying someone's a shit fighter, but then you go and fight the person that shit fighter defeated easily, then what are you saying? It's clear what you're saying. It's self-explanatory. People just want to overlook it. So he needs to step his game up, and I think he needs to stop talking shit and just go in there and let us do his fight, his talking with his hands. Don't go in there worrying about, stop all this social media shit, trying to be the king of social media, crap talk. You know, get a title for that. You'll win that shit. You and Raleigh, between you and Raleigh, I don't know. I think Raleigh might beat Ryan, honestly, but yeah, it'll come down into your female. You guys have a battle royal for it because that's what these guys love to do. Talk, 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 talk. So we'll see what happens. Now most people feel like he'll beat Havier Fortuna. He should beat Havier Fortuna. And again, Havier Fortuna's flaw stands out. But when you have these what they call action-packed fighters, people try to overlook the flaws and say it's going to be a hell of a fight. Yeah, but even still, it's a fight that Havier Fortuna shouldn't win. Again, he doesn't hit that hard. He's not that fast, and he's there to be hit, but he does come to fight, and you respect Havier Fortuna for that. But at the end of the day, Ryan Garcia says he's an elite fighter, and he feels like he's pound for pound one of the best fighters. Well, you have to prove it. You have to beat pound for pound top fighters to even claim that. So we'll see how things go. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video. Let me say that one more time. Let me say it one more time. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people.